Hello and welcome. Now, in the last lecture we had looked into how to calculate the radiation density at a far away distance from cell tower. Then we also looked at a 5-minute video which we had recorded at IIT Bombay. So, today I am going to discuss about cell phone and cell tower radiation hazards and what are the solution. So, let us start with the title Cell Phone Tower Radiation Hazards and Solutions, but in our first lecture I will focus mainly on cell phone. You can note down my email IDs. One, this is at IIT Bombay and this is the Gmail ID, which is very simple, prof.gkumar@gmail.com. Outline of the presentation will be cell phone and tower statistics in India. So, I am actually going to mention about the statistics in India, but I will also tell what is happening around the world also. Then we will very quickly look into what is a microwave heating principle, because people are aware how a food can be cooked in a microwave oven. Then we will talk about radiation pattern of the antenna, safety norms around the world, radiation measurements which we have done at least more than 1,000 places and what we found. We will review biological effects and then solutions. So, let us say in the India the population is 130 plus crore, which is equal to 1.3 billion people, and out of this population of 130 plus crore, more than 100 plus crore cell phone users are there, which is equivalent to 1 billion. Now, in the world we have a population of around 7 billion and there are about more than 6 billion cell phone subscribers. So, one can see that cell phones are very good, fantastic. With that you can connect to anybody at any place, you can do banking, you can do chatting, you can see the video, you can nowadays with 4G technology you can do video conferencing, you can book a cab, you can see so many things which you can do. So, it is a wonderful technology, but the problem is overuse of the technology. Now, let us just say that suppose you like an ice cream. Now, if you eat ice cream, let us say once a week, it may be a good, maybe you want to eat once a day, it might still be acceptable, not so good. But if you eat ice cream, let us say every hour, 7 am, 8 am, 10 pm, and then you do the same thing for next 15 days. So, what will happen? You may probably get sick and tired of eating ice cream, and also you may have so many health problems. So, something which you like it, same thing you can say for chocolate. Once in a while eating chocolate is good, but all the time eating chocolate is not good. So, same thing, cell phone, limited use of cell phone is good, unlimited use of cell phone is not good. So, we will see today what is the limit, where we should draw the line, and what are the guidelines for that, and what is happening across the globe. Now, for a cell phone to work, what cell phone does is cell phone transmits the power to the cell tower, and in India again a cell phone typically may transmit about 1 watt of power, cell towers typically transmit about 20 watt of power, and then this cell tower through the switching network will go to the another cell tower, that another cell tower will make a call to the cell phone whom you have called. Now, in this process, let us say this cell phone transmits 1 watt, cell tower 20 watt, this cell tower 20 watt, then the cell phone here 1 watt. So, total 42 watt of power is getting transmitted, whereas the actual used by the cell phone and cell tower is only about 0.00001 watt. So, that means 41.9999 watt is getting dissipated in the atmosphere, and roughly about 1/3 of that power is getting absorbed. Let us say if you are talking cell phone like this, so roughly 1/3 of that is getting absorbed by your own head, and then part of that is getting absorbed by the person who is sitting next to you, and the rest of the power is getting absorbed in the atmosphere, and in the atmosphere there can be birds, bees, animals, trees, plants, everything. So, all that radiation is getting absorbed in the atmosphere. So, now think about in India, if 1 billion people are using and 41.9999 watt power is getting dissipated. So, you can imagine now how much microwave power is getting dissipated in the atmosphere. and all over the world there are 6 billion people using the cell phone. So you can actually see that so much RF radiation pollution is getting created in the atmosphere. In fact, we have proposed to the government that radiation pollution should now be considered as the fourth pollution. The other three pollutions are water pollution, air pollution, noise pollution. So this radiation pollution is very, very significant. People are using cell phone left and right all the time. Cell towers are transmitting power 24 hours a day. So many places there is a Wi-Fi, and Wi-Fi is radiating exactly at the same frequency at which microwave oven works. So let's see what is the principle of microwave heating. Now when we put food inside a microwave oven, it is the water in the fluid which is absorbing the radiation. So what happens when microwave radiation impinges on the water molecule, then the water molecule starts vibrating at a speed of 2.45 billion times per second. And when that vibration is there at such a high intensity, it leads to the friction, and that friction leads to heating, and that is how the microwave oven food gets cooked. But when this microwave radiation impinges on the human body, for cellular band it can be 900 megahertz or 1800 megahertz, or for 3G it can be 1900 or 2100, or for Wi-Fi it is same as microwave. So when that radiation impinges on the human body, now human body consists of 70% liquid. So when this microwave radiation impinges, now microwave radiation can penetrate the skin and it can go inside the body, and all those water molecule, fluid, blood, they start vibrating. So let's say at 900 megahertz they are vibrating at a speed of 900 million times per second. So because of this vibration, friction is there, and because of the friction DNA damage occurs, and also friction leads to heat and the body temperature also goes up. Now this body is acting as an insulator from sun. When there is a sun radiation, skin acts as an insulator. But in case of microwave radiation penetrates and it is inside the body, those water molecule, blood molecule are vibrating, that say DNA damage is happening, friction is there, the temperature is increasing, but now that is getting trapped by the skin. So that heat is confined within it. So within the body, let's say at 900 megahertz, wavelength is 33 centimeter. That is in air. Within the dielectric material, wavelength will be much lesser than the free space wavelength. So there are multiple hot and warm spots which are formed in the entire body. So the entire body is feeling that heat effect. So there are two effects which are known. One is a non-thermal effect. Non-thermal effect is because of the DNA damage which is caused because of the friction, and thermal is because of the heating. And non-thermal effects are several times more harmful than thermal effects, and unfortunately many of the international guidelines are governed by these thermal effects, and they have ignored these non-thermal effects which are much more harmful. So let me ask a very, very simple question, that have you noticed that if you use your cell phone for about 20 to 30 minutes, have you noticed that your ear gets warm? In fact, when I asked the audience, 80 to 90% people raise their arm. So what is really happening? So when you keep the cell phone, let's say next to your ear when we are making a call, so there is a radiation from the mobile phone. Now since the ear is the closest, so blood in the earlobe starts getting heated up, and it has been reported that if you use the cell phone for approximately 20 minutes, the blood lobe temperature goes up by 1 degree centigrade. Now body temperature is 98.4 Fahrenheit. Now if you add 1 degree centigrade, which is 1.8 Fahrenheit, so we have 100.2 degree fever. So every time when you use the phone for 20 to 30 minutes, the blood lobe temperature goes up by 1 degree centigrade and we have a fever. And then the brain realizes there is some problem. So there is a process known as thermoregulatory mechanism. So that process gets kicked in and there is a blood circulation happening, so the temperature becomes relatively normal. But again we use for 20 to 30 minutes, again the body temperature or especially in this case the ear temperature goes up, and then again the thing happens. So what is happening, this hot blood is getting circulated again and again. So if we use for much longer time, so it starts with the warm sensation and then it leads to pain and also to irreversible hearing loss, which can be partial to full hearing loss, as well as ear tumor. In fact, actually speaking, I have started my own newsletter on cell phone tower radiation, and there in the newsletter, especially the third newsletter, we have actually given the interviews of 5 different ENT doctors, and they have very strongly said that they are getting a very large number of cases where people are developing irreversible or partial hearing loss to ear tumor, and their largest customers are, or you can say patients are, teenagers, because teenagers use cell phone for very long time, they keep chatting, of course, or the next number of the patients which they said is the sales people and even the media people, because they use cell phone for long time, for hours and hours, and after few years of use they start getting the pain in the ear and tumor. In fact, let me also ask you one question, that if you use cell phone for more than 20 to 30 minutes, do you feel headache? If you do feel headache after 20 to 30 minutes, let me tell you and forewarn you that you are getting into stage 2. So because that headache leads to so many other diseases, it can lead to the headache, it can lead to irritation, it can lead to memory loss, it can lead to concentration problem, and ultimately to brain tumor. So let me define now how we define the SAR value. So the cell phone is defined by its SAR value. So what is SAR? It is a specific absorption rate, that is a rate at which radiation is absorbed by human body, and it is measured in watt per kg, and this limit has been set as a 1.6 watt per kg. Now this limit was set in 1998, and those days cell phone usage per minute was very expensive, and this limit was set for 6 minutes. So today when we say that this cell phone is safe, it is really safe for about 6 minutes. However, all the safety guidelines have some safety margin. It has a safety margin of 3 to 4. So in reality, people should not be using 18 to 24 minutes per day, and if you use for longer time, you can develop some of the health problems. But let's see what are the warning signs given on some of the mobile phones. So I have just listed here the BlackBerry, but similar things are given by iPhone and other phones also. So let's see here what it says. The BlackBerry says that keep the device at least 0.98 inches or 25 mm from your body. So that means now when you want to make a call, you should actually measure the distance about 25 mm 1 inch, and you keep the phone like this, and then you should make a call. Do you really make a call like this? I don't think so. You make a call like this, or maybe you make a call like this, or maybe you do sometimes multitasking also, right? So you do the driving also like that. So where is the radiation going? Now the radiation is going towards your entire body. Let's just look at what is the next thing which I have underlined. It actually says don't keep the cell phone next to the abdomen of pregnant women. And here in India, there used to be an advertisement on TV about 4 years back, where a pregnant lady calls her husband and asks him, do you want to listen to the kick of the baby? And she puts the phone right next to her stomach, and probably baby kicks, trying to say, take the damn thing away. Okay, let's see the last line here. What it says, reduce the amount of time spent on calls. Now start thinking about it. Why a cell phone manufacturer tells you reduce the amount of time spent on calls? Because they know that there is a problem, and if you use for longer time. Okay, but unfortunately in India, we see these advertisements where people are using cell phone for hours and hours. There was one advertisement where one person starts using cell phone in the evening, then he does all the calls to various people and all that, and then in the morning he waves hand to the or says goodbye to sunshine and goes to sleep. That means they are actually saying that right from 8-9 p.m. till about 5-6 a.m. you can use cell phone. Well, that is really bad. You should not be using cell phone for more than, as I said, 18 to 24 minutes in the maximum possible scenario. And if you use cell phone for longer time, let's see what all can happen to you. Now, this is the result of a re-evaluation of an Interphone study. Just to tell you, Interphone study actually started in 2000, the year 2000, and they followed all the protocol of WHO, World Health Organization. So, this study actually took 10 years. The report came in May 2010, and this study actually took cases from 13 countries. It was the largest study taken at that time, and they actually studied 5,000 brain tumor cases. So, that means these many cases of brain tumor did happen. That is how they could take the cases and do the study. Now, just that is why I said, if you use cell phone for longer time, if you are feeling headache, well, that could be the earlier stage and this could be the last stage here. And of course, $25 million were spent, and roughly 1/3 of this money came from cellular operator. So, now what was the conclusion? So, conclusion actually says no overall increase in the risk, and so you can actually think about and say to yourself, all is well, okay, there is a no overall increase in the risk. However, it also says there is a suggestion of increase in the glioma for heavy user, and for on the side, which side they are using the cell phone for longer time. So, what is the definition of heavy user? The definition of heavy user was half hour per day over 8 to 10 years. So, what happens if you do that? Well, you have a double to quadruple brain tumor risk. Okay. So, now can you correlate, which I mentioned earlier, 18 to 24 minutes, and half hour is something like 30 minutes per day. So, in about 10 years of time, there is a double to quadruple brain tumor risk. However, I also want to mention here, since then mobile phone technology has improved slightly. So, there is a now concept of that if the signal is weak, it will transmit more power. If the signal strength in that area is strong, then it will transmit less power. So, there is a auto ranging concept is there. So, now there is a little less effect, you can use for slightly longer time, and in the next lecture I will show you the study which had actually linked number of hours used versus odd ratio, but for that you have to wait for next lecture. But now I just also want to mention that this Interphone study, which actually had excluded children and young adults, okay. In fact, they took healthy adults in the age group of 30 to 59 years, and children and young adults are definitely more susceptible. In fact, there is a new study going on which is known as a Mobi Kids, and we are waiting for that study to come, and we will see what is really happening. But however, there are many countries in the world which they have strongly recommended that children under 12 years should not use cell phone, okay. And whereas in India, you can actually see that the parents are giving mobile phone to their even 1 or 2 year old children who are using the cell phone for long time, okay. So, please avoid that and listen to what the world is telling us. So, now let us see this report which came in May 2010. So, what happened after that? Well, WHO finally declared 1 year later, and I want to bring certain things over here. So, that was May 2010 when Interphone study came, which followed all the protocols of WHO. Yet it took 1 full year, and let us see what actually happened. So, 1 year later, International Agency for Research on Cancer, they classified, IARC classifies radio frequency electromagnetic field as possible carcinogen to human being, which is known as class 2B. However, WHO made it little bit simple. That said WHO designates cell phone as possible human carcinogen class 2B. and they found evidence of increase in glioma and acoustic neuroma brain cancer for mobile phone. Now see, it is very interesting now. What it says here is radio frequency electromagnetic field. So in fact, this includes cell tower also. It includes high radiation from FM radio, TV signals and radar systems and so on, whereas they actually modified it to cell phone. So now why WHO did that? So now let's just think about how WHO works. And also I want to think about, so why government of India is not telling people that it is a class 2B. Now whereas this is almost a 5-year-old study. So let's say if you are, let's say go for a movie or you watch TV, if somebody is smoking, so few years back it used to say smoking is injurious to health. Nowadays it says smoking kills. So in fact, the same thing which we have been also telling government of India, and I would like to tell to the government of the world, that should also start saying that overuse of cell phone is injurious to health. But however, why governments are not telling the people, why government is not creating awareness? So we have to first understand that cell phone auction, cell tower auction is going on all across the globe. So in India also government is making lot of money by spectrum auction. So just to give you some numbers within India, so let's say in the last 4 years there have been 3 rounds of spectrum auction. So they raised 61,000 crores, then they raised 67,000 crore rupees, and then in the last March 2015 they raised 1.1 lakh crore. And now the next round of spectrum auction is going to take place in October 2016, and government is planning to raise about 5.6 lakh crore. So from where government is raising money? By spectrum auction from cellular operator. And this is happening all over the globe. All the governments of the world are raising lots of money. So today cellular business is a $1 trillion business. So lot of money is riding on it. And in fact, just to tell you, the next technologies which are going to come, 5G and IoT. IoT is Internet of Things. And I recently attended one meeting and they are projecting that these technologies could be worth $6 to $7 trillion. Okay. So they are going after the money and ignoring completely the health hazards associated with this high radiation, which is going to be 24 hours radiation. So now why WHO also took? So again think about it, from where WHO gets funding? WHO gets funding from all the governments of the world. Okay, they contribute to the World Health Organization. Now governments are making so much money by spectrum auction, and WHO is also making lot of things by getting money from the government. So they are also getting pressure. In fact, I want to mention here that for the last 2 years, scientists around the world, they are actually telling WHO to convert this class 2B to class 2A, which is known as probable carcinogen, and there are some scientists who are even saying it should be made class 1. Now in fact, these scientists have very categorically mentioned that whatever are the criteria of WHO regarding class 2A, all those criteria have been met. But however, WHO has not listened to that thing yet. So in 2014, when scientists approached them, they simply said, okay, we will come out with the report in 2015, but nothing happened. Then 200 scientists of the world, they signed a petition and they submitted that to President United Nations, and that was in May 2015, and we are still waiting for that response to come. And now again scientists are talking to WHO, and WHO has actually said that they will come out with their report in December 2016. So I want that all the people across the globe should unite and try to convince WHO and their government that they should be serious about high power cell tower radiation and overuse of cell phone and Wi-Fi radiation and so on. So now we know that this is a fantastic technology. We still would like to use the technology. So this article was written by me for a popular science magazine. This article I wrote in about September 2011, so almost 5 years back. Now we know that cell phone is a wonderful technology. We can do so many things with the cell phone. Yet I strongly recommend that limit your use. Okay, so please do not use your cell phone for a long time. I can just tell you from my example, my maximum talk time per day is about 5 minutes per day. In fact, any call which I take is generally I do not talk for more than 1 minute, because cell phones were invented for emergency use. So there is an emergency, you talk and you do that. So in fact, when people call me, I always tell them that okay, I'll call you back from my landline number, or you call me to my landline number. Also, please talk for short duration. Do not talk for very long time. As I said, if you use cell phone for longer time, you can feel the ear warming, you can have a hearing problem, you can even have headache, and so on and so forth. Now if possible, use SMS, okay, or these days people use WhatsApp. Now see, when you are using SMS, so while you are typing your message, or for WhatsApp while you are typing a message, the radiation is very little. Only when you let's say press the send button, there is a radiation from that. But however, what I notice, people don't use SMS 1 or 5 or 10, they use probably 100 of SMS, or maybe they do 100 times WhatsApp. So that means they are exposed to a much longer radiation. Now if possible, use cell phone with lower SAR value. It is very easy. You can actually go to the internet, just say SAR mobile phone, and you can choose a cell phone which has a lower SAR value. If possible, use speaker phone. So you can put the phone in the speaker mode and then you can talk, or you can actually use an ear plug. So what you can do, you can plug the wire over here and put it over here. But then what I notice, many people what they do, let's say they plug over here and they are holding the phone in their hand, then your hand will receive more radiation. Some people put here in the shirt pocket, then your heart will receive more radiation. Some people put in their pant pocket, so then that area of the body will receive more radiation. So you decide which part of the body you don't like. Now of course some people also use Bluetooth. Now yes, there is a good thing about Bluetooth, that Bluetooth transmits maximum 10 milliwatt of power, whereas a cell phone can transmit 1 watt of power, which is about 1000 milliwatts. So it definitely transmits 1 by 100 of that. But again, what I notice, that people put a Bluetooth thing on their ear, and then let's say they put the phone in, let's say in the shirt pocket, then the Bluetooth will transmit 10 milliwatt, then the Bluetooth of the mobile phone will transmit 10 milliwatt, communicate to this one here, and this is anyway transmitting 1000 milliwatt. So you actually increase your radiation exposure. So the best way to use Bluetooth is that you put a Bluetooth over here, keep the cell phone away from you, and then you can do the talking. Now if possible, please use landline. I know that many places people are removing their landline. I strongly urge people that start using landline, because there is no radiation there. Also I recommend that do not keep cell phone in your hand pocket for long. The reason is that even if you are not using the cell phone, it is still transmitting 1 pulse per minute to the base station. So let's say if you are keeping cell phone for let's say 6 hours, so 6 into 60, 360 minutes you are putting cell phone in your pocket, and then if it is transmitting 1 pulse per minute, so roughly 360 pulses are going towards the base station, and it is slowly causing problem to you. And also I noticed that lot of people keep the cell phone next to their pillow. Okay, in fact that is not good. You may try to sleep, but your cell phone is not sleeping, so it is constantly every minute making some transmission, and it is radiating towards your head. So I strongly recommend that you keep the cell phone at least at 1 arm length, or if possible keep it in the different room. Also I would like to recommend that in the night please switch off the data, because you are not going to check while you are sleeping any messages or any email, because you can actually make a quick check that if you charge your mobile phone in the night and put the phone, let's say, in the airplane mode, you will see that by the morning the battery is still almost full. The next day you can try, just keep the, you can say, cell phone on, but all the other data should be off, then you see how much it is. Okay, and then the next time what you do, you keep the data on and everything, you will see that the battery drainage is much more. So that means that data is actually speaking consuming lot of power also, because the mobile phone keeps communicating and trying to see if there is some activity or not. So I strongly recommend that you please do these simple precautions, so that you can protect and spread the message to all your friends, all your known people. You can use blog, you can use email, you can use Twitter, you can use WhatsApp to create awareness. So please do that and use this beautiful, fantastic, wonderful technology carefully. In fact, I always tell people, live safely, have safe radiation. So in the next lecture I will talk about the radiation health hazard from cell tower, what are the radiation norms in India and in the rest of the other countries, and what are the health effects which can happen to the people who are living next to the cell tower. So thank you very much, see you soon.